It's green for go. They're racing. He says go. He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn. Here comes another big boil over. Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more. This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode. She is a star with a capital S. It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that? It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the Sprint Lane Podcast live from Tabcorp Park, Menangle. And the Queen of Tabcorp Park, Menangle, Jess Watkins, is next to me. G'day, Jess.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
Lovely to be next to you again. Hey, Freddie, the king of Tabcorp Park, Menangle, and with good reason, given the week that he's just had, Jess.
Definitely. I'm sure he's on a heaven on high, that's for sure.
Welcome, Freddie.
Yeah, g'day, Paul and Jess. Yeah, no, big week, and of course started with the pacing for Pink High Tea on Tuesday, and then the week finalised for me with a win by heaven on high, the little champion that he is.
Yeah, we'll get into that, and if we're going to throw around coronations and some sort of monarchical titles, I don't know, what do we throw at Maurice Logue?
He is the Prince of the Paceway.
Oh, he is. G'day, Maurice. Great to have you on the show, mate.
Great to be here. Thank you.
We're obviously neighbours in the headquarters office there at Bankstown, and we've dragged him out here to Menangle to tell us all about the great work that he does. Wonderful to have you. Such a storied history through the equine industry, not just in our code, but in the gallops as well. Can't wait to pour some time into it. Must be nice to get your feet out from under the desk as well, mate.
That's nice. I don't often get to go out that much, but that's great.
I'm just glad last week or 2 weeks ago we had Will Rickson, who he was still taller than me on a chair. I'm nearly as tall as Maurice. I feel so much happier today.
Yeah. And we've had so we did offer Maurice the chair, but then we were worried about the stag at height. But
thank you.
Yeah, gee, good week. Hey, Jess, well done on pacing for Pink last week. I did pop my head up there. I gate crashed your party for about 5 minutes. Gee, it was great to see.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was a wonderful afternoon, and guests really looked to be enjoying themselves. Everyone got into the spirit. There was definitely a sea of pink instead of just a splash, which was great to see. And of course, Freddie, Cassie Fahey and Brittany Graham really helped to make the afternoon just a success.
Maurice, I guess a reflection from you. I mean, I know you weren't there for pacing for Pink, but it's another example of the great things that the harness racing industry does, isn't it?
It is definitely. We tend to get around people and support them when they need it most, and it's another great example of that.
Yeah, all right. Hey, the racing was great. How about we get into it, eh? Because we've had another great week of racing. So, if we kick it off, heaven on high, Freddie. Heaven on high.
Gee, anyone would think it was me running the race. It was a good win.
Yeah.
He at the back of 2300 got home in 26 and a fraction, and Jack Trainer said it was, and Jack's driven him all 5 wins. He's now won 4 metro races, which you pinch yourself, to have a horse that's won 4 on a Saturday night. But Jack's driven him in all of his 5 wins and said that was by far his best performance. What I liked about it was the way he accelerated. And I can always remember the great race callers like Ian Craig and John Tapp saying a mark of a nice horse is when they've got a little turn of foot, when they're called upon, that acceleration. And he actually, when asked for the effort, accelerated. So very happy with him, and he's racing again this Saturday night. Tougher race.
Yeah, Maurice, we're going to get into your background as a former elite jockey around the Australian circuit. You've come at that type of story from the jockey's perspective and the person responsible for getting the horse across the line. Freddie's coming at it from an owner's perspective. What's that like for the person responsible for getting the horse to that victory to then have an owner just be so happy?
Who's calling it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's that like?
Well, it's great, and any winners very much appreciated. But the way Freddie described a good horse is exactly right. I've been fortunate to ride a few of them. And they just do things that others don't. They relax in races. If you need them to wake up, they wake up, and then you can put them back to sleep. And then when you need the ultimate effort, they give it to you.
It must be nice to have an owner so happy with the result, like as the person who's been responsible for getting that horse home.
Well, they're the ones that put the money into the industry, so it's very good to see Freddie enjoying the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, there was some fast racing Saturday night too. What about Typo? Really fast for Brad Hewitt to win the first, 151 flat. Really good performance. South Coast Arden, that was a cracking JD Watts Memorial, Jess.
Yeah, it was the time-honoured JD Watts. It delivers year in, year out. And I know that I gave a push for South Coast Arden last week. I was really excited to see him come back to Menangle after starting at Bathurst. And didn't he deliver? He went sub 150 and he looks a really, really nice
Decent
horse.
quality too. I mean, when you roll, I know it was close, but to roll Spirit of St. Louis, I cast no shadow. Obviously, the Inter-Dominion champion. Artillery was so good the week before, and we saw what power and speed and that Chris Geary was able to get out of Artillery, and of course Bondi Lockdown. Quick reflection on that, Freddie. What do we make? 13 metres back. What do we make of Bondi Lockdown?
That's
2 in a row.
Yeah, that's 2 in a row. And I did say you always forgive a good horse for an indifferent run. Now the jury's out. I thought he had pretty much every chance, and this horse that won the race, South Coast Arden, he raced in New Zealand Cups and against all the very best over in the Shaky Isles. Talking to Gavin Fitzpatrick on Sunday on radio, he's very happy with the horse, and the stable have got big hopes. Yeah. They're still, I don't know whether they've made the decision, but as of Sunday, they hadn't quite decided whether they were heading north, but he certainly will acquit himself well wherever they decide to go.
Speaking of fast racing, Delightful Angel, very good, winning the last for Jared Alchin and Will Rickson, who just continues to go places. Will beat Braveview Kelly, which is a big scalp to take down. Of course, it was a night where we had the New South Wales bred final. So the 2-year-old final was won by Love Arecious, great name for Aaron Goadsby and Joshy Gallagher. And what a great night Josh had. Josh also did the steering on No Dramas, who is trained by Troy Primmer. Troy's on the line with us. Aloha, Troy. You're joining us from Hawaii.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me on. Big thrill to get the win on Saturday night.
Oh, mate, and then you've gone off and you're rocking the shuckers over there. And where have we got you? You're at a conference in Hawaii, so you're on a plane not long after that great moment, in your racing career. Straight on a plane.
Yeah.
I'll bet that plane ride was fun.
Yeah, straight on a plane. All those hobby trainers out there will know we're all got to go to work on Monday. So Sunday, straight on the plane for a strategic planning conference. Luckily, it was in Hawaii. A lot of worse places we could have it, but still coming down from Saturday night was a big thrill, and no better place to do it than Hawaii, that's for sure.
Where do you mark that result? Well, one of the biggest sort of, training results in your career?
Oh, most definitely. I've only had my training licence for a few years. I'm going to train with Dad for sort of 20 years, but my first Metro winner, first Saturday night winner, and I've only had sort of a handful of winners, so a huge thrill for me to win a race like that. It was, it's unbelievable, really.
Yeah, good performance, Freddie.
It was a good performance. She's a real nice filly. It's lightly raced, Troy. Has there been any issues with her? Like she's 3, but she's only been to the races 6 times. She's won 4 of them. You've done a super job with her, but have there been any issues along the way with her?
Not really. She's been pretty easy to train. She's made me look pretty good, to be honest, Freddie, all the way along. But just leading up the Breeders' Challenge last year, she just wrenched a joint, and she scanned and it was all fine. And just on the side of caution, because being a hobby trainer, you don't get many good ones. I just tipped her out for 3 months and brought her up steady, and she's had no injuries or no issues since. But yeah, it was just I erred on the side of caution, and she was a little bit below the best one, so I wanted to give her a bit of time to grow and mature, and I guess now's the time to race her.
Troy, congratulations on the win on Saturday night. I saw in an article on the Trot Guide from over the weekend that you're looking towards heading into state with her for a Queensland campaign. What are her targets up there?
I'm going to send her up to Queensland. I've spoken to Robert Maurice. He's based up there now. Rob and Lucky Lodge done a bit of work with her. I was away for work for 3 weeks when she was a 2-year-old, and they trialled her and worked her for a few weeks, and Robbie knows her inside out. So, we'd like to target races like the Redcliffe Oaks and sort of go around in the heats of the Queensland Oaks. I mean, it's a bit of a new experience for me. I sort of haven't had horses good enough to travel in the state, but Robbie thinks she deserves a chance, and he's up there. It's a good opportunity for her to take the next step. And although she led on Saturday night, them sort of races she can take a sit, and she really is a speed filly rather than a strong one.
Is there a story behind the name, mate?
Her mother was my father bought a great grandmother, and I made him breed to fake left, and it was no good. So Dad called her Troy's Dream as a broodmare, and then I got the next one. I raced the mother, Never Ending Drama. I won 7 races with her, and she was just troublesome all the way along. And then once I got the drama moniker, I sort of stuck to it. Her older sister's Endless Drama, and she's been an endless drama. She's always injured, but this filly, she's just been wonderful all the way along. She's been just so easy to train. So the name No Dramas just seemed to fit.
Oh, it's a great dream.
She's
great
a compact little filly, isn't she? She's looks to be nice and robust, but not a big one.
No, she's not tall. In fact, she looks bigger on TV than she is, Freddie. She's very muscular, and she just takes such a large stride for a small filly, but she's only 15.1, maybe 15.2 with bigger shoes on. But no, she's not a big filly. She's well built, but not tall at all.
All right. Hey, so Troy, just to veer away from the horse a little bit, you're in Hawaii for a conference, and that's all to do with this amazing industry that your family has basically developed, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we've always worked in the gaming industry, and Dad was an agent for Aristocrat, and my brother Matt works there. But I work over at Ainsworth, who've been a good sponsor of harness racing. So big thanks to our CEO and chairman there. The gaming industry and the racing industry sort of go hand in hand, but slot machines, as they're known around the world, they do a lot of good for the community and in registered clubs. And I've always worked in the gaming industry. I was an accountant by trade, but I got out of that as quick as I could. And look, there's a lot of great people in it. Clubs and pubs throughout Australia. It goes hand in hand with the racing industry, and I certainly enjoy my time in it. And it's all over the world now. So I think that Len Ainsworth turns 100 in July, and he started the whole industry, and to think now it's spread right through the world is quite amazing.
Yeah, great success story. Well done on that. And mate, I don't know how you find the time, but we're very thankful that you obviously giving any time that you have available outside of that workspace to put back into our industry. And mate, congratulations on the other night. What a great result for someone who clearly is a little bit time poor. Those results I think are overdue for people like yourself who are, as you said, self-anointed hobby trainer.
Yeah, well, big thanks to Harness Racing New South Wales for putting the series on. Us trainers that breed them and look after them, and they're not quite up to that top level most of the time. It gives us a real opportunity to race on a Saturday night. So big thanks to HRNSW for creating what's a wonderful series, and all the luck to the participants who win the next two over the next couple of months. Good on you, Troy. We wish you the best of luck. And today, wish him well today, because he's got a runner today. Endless drama. Yes. Yeah. You have to tune in.
She'll need it too, Freddie. She'll need it too.
Get it on get an angle on the big screen for the conference there in Waikiki, and
Thanks very much for your time.
You're going to be out in the longboard by the end of the day, or what's?
No chance. I'm standing in the shade.
Mate, enjoy it, and we'll see you back here safe and sound over the next little bit.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate.
Hey, what a great result, eh?
Yeah, good fella. I actually sat with Troy at a function once. Good fella, and as he said, he alluded his family are very much involved in the industry, and his father Jack through both greyhound racing and harness racing. Through administrative roles and the like as well. So good family and good success with a nice little filly. I think he said, he hasn't always had a nice one. I think he's got a nice one here, and I think he's looked after it too.
Yeah. I'll tell you who else is going all right. The McDowells, they had a pretty good week last week. Dean and Kerry McDowell had a treble here at Menangle on Tuesday. Great to see Maximus Meridius the thumbs up. I know you love rolling out that line, Freddie. Yeah. Obviously a play on Russell Crowe, and was that a South Roosters game when he rolled out the thumb?
It was, in the grandstand.
I think I was at that game about 10 metres away from him when I
think it was one of those rare occasions the bunnies thrashed us, but anyway.
Yes.
Touchy subject.
Yes. Maximus Meridius has been a bit of a naughty boy over the early parts of his career, but to see him finally put it together. I walked past Dean and Kerry here on Tuesday, and Colin was around. They were so happy, and it just felt like the hard work had paid off. The time they'd invested into trying to get Maximus Meridius right had paid off. And then I said something to Dean, and he said, "You know what? It's the first time I haven't backed it." So maybe it was the weight of his money that was causing grief. But great result that.
Yeah, look, he and it would have been frustrating for Dean and Kerry, given they knew what he was capable of, that he was pretty much faultless in his trials, but when he came to race day, he'd make errors. But on Tuesday last week, he did everything right and showed that he is a very capable trotter.
How's that frustration, Maurice, when you got a horse that you know has got talent and just does those little 1%ers wrong? It must be then great joy to see that turn around like we saw here last Tuesday.
Yeah, it is most definitely. It's frustrating at times, but when they put it all together, it's a relief.
Yeah. So that was a treble. I hope Dean reversed what he was, he didn't back Maximus. I hope he then got on, because he would have got $21 about Bertie Jones in the last, which would have, probably offset the one that he missed out on in the first. But yeah, great day for the McDowells, and of course Leighton Green with a treble there. Newcastle on Friday night. So we had, how's this for the future and where we're currently placed with our racing landscape? So Josh Gallagher, double. Will Rickson, double. Jack Callaghan, double. Jack Brown and Tom Ison. That's your card. That's your 8 races and the young men who've delivered on that program. Maurice, you had a lot to do with the youngsters and the next generation. That's a great reflection of where our industry is going.
It's great. We've got formal training in place now to support them. We've got our welfare programs as well to support them with sports psychologists, similar to what the other industries do now, or other sporting codes. I think it speaks volumes.
Absolutely. So, Jess, when we see that, we're a young men and women's game.
Definitely. We definitely are. So often we're talking about our young participants week in and week out on this show, and rightly so, they're getting winners left, right and centre, and it really puts harness racing in good stead for the future. Yeah,
well, bulk of those guys were in action and doing well at Newcastle yesterday as well. Tamworth on Thursday, double for Tommy Ison. Here's another name that is young and up and coming and doing things amazing, particularly up there at Tamworth. Gemma Coney, treble for her. Really, really happy to see her do well.
Yeah, Gemma does a great job, and she presents herself so well as well. She's more than willing to give her time when she comes down here to Menangle, and great to see her in the winner's circle for a treble.
We were at Wagga on Friday, doubles for Peter McRae and Brad Hewitt. We were at Young on Tuesday, Nathan Turnbull, double there. He had a winner at Parks on Friday as well, so pretty good week for Nathan. Jackson Painting, we'll go to Bathurst on Wednesday, doubles for Nathan Turnbull again, so what a great week he had. Winners right across the state. Particularly in that Western corridor. Jack Trainer went out there and on a rare night, and I think he had an early double on that program too. So a good night for Jack. And then Jackson Painting, he won at Wagga and he had a double at West Wyalong on Friday. So these guys are getting winners in bulk, Jess. And what Freddie, I can see with his fantasy harness racing team. Well, that's where your points are. You go doing that.
Yep.
I think that's where we've really, really taken note as well, fantasy harness racing. You've had to be so strategic with your teams and putting in these drivers from each of the region to help bolster your points, and it's definitely paid in dividends if you manage to find them.
Absolutely. Maurice has kept his calm there. You've kept your calm there. We try and catch her out each week with that little sting, don't we, Freddie? But
didn't work.
You've turned it down.
Yeah, been a great week on and off the track. Pacing for Pink was certainly outstanding. Jess, what's the best thing you saw this week?
Yeah, Penrith on Thursday night. Lucas Booker, 19 years old. He scored his first driving win in the sulky, and that was aboard his father's horse, OK Gringo. So well done to Lucas there. I'm sure it'll be the first of many for him.
Yeah, proud dad, I would have thought, Freddie.
Yeah, he was. I had the perfect view of Anthony, and he was, just punching the air, and he was overjoyed. And yeah, just one of those real proud dad moments. Best thing I saw, can't go past Love Arecious. Aaron Goadsby's done a super job with her. She's been to the races 10 times. She's been in top 3 finishes 9, and the only one time she missed a placing. She's run 4th and still earned money. And she's really starting to look like it's all switching on for her. She's only 2, but she's really starting to mature, I think, pretty quickly. And I think Guz has got a very nice horse on his hands in Love Arecious for the owners, and they celebrate. I don't know if you know this, Paul, but there was some photos that were sent to me. Aaron Goadsby has a tradition on the way home, going up home, he stops and they buy at a pizzeria, at a pizza place, and they buy a pizza to share with all the crew. And I'm not kidding, it's nearly as big as this table. They actually photograph each other with the tray that they cook the pizza on, and it is massive. And I got the obligatory photo of the tray before they cooked the pizza, but they were celebrating in style up there, so well done. That's the best thing I saw. Not the pizza. Well, they should. Surely. Yeah. Do you drink Recious? I
was going to say, do people still drink?
You know what? It's more popular than you realise.
Really?
I used to drink it. I don't drink it anymore, but it's quite popular. I know a few people that actually drink it.
through those yuppie pubs that you're frequenting around? Newtown or something, Freddie?
Turn it up.
What it is?
Yuppie pub. Off to the Kings Park Tavern, me.
Well, Maurice, there's some great stuff happening on and off the track, isn't there? You know, what's the best thing you saw this week?
Well, for me, it's getting the careers market videos back. We're getting on the front foot with advertising the various careers within the harness industry, and we've been out here a couple of weeks ago to Menangle doing the videos, and it's all starting to be edited now. I won't say it's a game changer, but the general public will know we've got an industry once we start airing them.
Well, we've got such a broad industry, don't we? And I know that some of the stuff you've done, you know, we've put a spotlight on the work that our veterinarians do.
Yes.
You know, and how, you know, equine welfare is at the forefront. I know that, Freddie, you allowed a camera in while you were calling races, and it's one of the ones that Maurice is referring to, and being able to see the work that you do. So there's a broad depth and breadth to our industry, and there's opportunities to get involved. We'll get into that with you. I mean, we've got young Aidan sitting not far from us. He's here on work experience today, and he's here to see that, you know, all the opportunities that can happen. You know, what happened yesterday, Jess, here at Menangle will be very different to what happens today on a race day. You know, we've reflected before the show, Maurice, around the work that, say, Owie and the boys do around track preparation. And there's your line of work. There's your line of work, Jess. You know, so there's so much you can do to invest in our industry and be part of it.
You're right. It's not just about driving and training. There's a whole industry of people out there supporting the drivers and the trainers and the horses.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Maurice, it's great to have you on the show. Your background is... You've got a long history in the equine industry. So let's start. You were a very, very successful jockey.
I did okay, yes.
Well, I think he's underplaying it there. Do you know is that one of those stats you can rattle off? What the career record?
I can. 668 winners, 40 of those black type.
That's
nice.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive. And in an era where you were riding against the likes of Ron Quinton, Malcolm Johnston, Neville Voigt, John Duggan was around in those days who won Melbourne Cups. Shane Dye, he was there when you were
there, yes.
Yeah. So you've ridden against, you know, Jim Cassidy, the pumper. You've ridden against the best of the best. And to annex 668 winners in such a competitive time. And I might also point out there definitely would not have been the proliferation of racing that we now have. You were pretty much riding in Sydney on a Wednesday and a Saturday, and the provincial on a Thursday.
That's
that was
correct.
Pretty much it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely that was the way when it started. By the time I'd finished my career, it was racing wall to wall 7 days a week. But for the majority of it, it was 3 days a week.
Well, we've got the racing. We've got Sky Racing on all around our office all the time. There's a TV in my office. The number of times Maurice will pop down, and he'll always have ridden on that track. It's on TV. I mean, you got around, didn't you?
The latter part of my career, yes. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So, all right. So, when that the time in the saddle ends, you've then veered your path into really giving back to the equine industry in various capacities. So, you know, a lot of time spent in the gallops, and we've ended up. You know, we're very lucky to have your services with what we're doing. But from an education perspective, you know, you initiated some really significant programs outside of the equine industry too, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate when my career was over, and it was over as a result of a race fall. In 92 the fall was, and I was able to get another 3 years out of riding, managing my injury, and had to retire in 95. At the time of my retirement, the Australian Jockey Club were looking to formalise training. And as a part of that process, I got involved with the University of Melbourne, and we developed the racing industry training package, which started off as jockeys, and it's now evolved, and it covers all codes of racing and all careers within the racing industries.
Yeah, so it's got a legacy piece there. Hope that there's a golden slipper that Maurice, we often try and pick.
You had to go there.
Oh, no.
Nearly won the golden slipper.
Yeah, it's a bit of a story, and probably one best left for you to tell, I think, Maurice.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. I'd ridden Sadappa successfully on 5 occasions, got beaten on him in a photo on the 6th occasion, and the owners decided that they'd replace me with Ron Quinton. Now, for a 20-year-old apprentice jockey at the time, that's not a bad compliment. He was the jockey that had won 8 Sydney Premierships. So I wasn't replaced by anybody. I was replaced by the best.
Yeah.
Although I would have still appreciated riding him in the slipper.
Yeah. It would have been a bit of pill to swallow, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that's racing. It happens.
Racing, isn't it?
It happens now. It happened back then. But at the time, as you said, you were 20 years of age. You're riding arguably. Well, he proved to be through that his 2-year-old year the best. It must have been tough. How did you process that? Because it's something maybe the young ones listening to the podcast might be able to process. How did you process it?
Well, for me, I was going very good at the time. I'd go to the races in the metropolitan area to ride either 2 or 3 winners. So I was on the crest of a high. The owners just wanted to go for somebody more experienced. And I'll always recall one of the Sydney journalists come up to me after losing the ride and said, "That's a tragedy, you losing the ride." Well, it wasn't a tragedy. I lost my father when I was 14 years old. Yeah. So losing the ride on a horse, I think, sadly, that helped me put it into perspective. It was losing a ride on a horse.
Yeah. So I didn't bring that up without sort of trying to steer down a path. Those key learnings, Maurice, in your current role and what you've done before we got your services at Harness Racing New South Wales, how have you applied some of those setbacks and those, in a race fall and the journey that you've had to do to overcome the obstacles that come with being part of the industry? How have you managed to use them, you think, through now in your role with being a confidant, being an advisor, being someone who puts in place pathways for the participants in our industry?
I think it's very important that we have support when we're going through life, particularly in the racing industry. And I know myself, if I'd have had somebody that would have grabbed me by the hand in 1992 and said, "Maurice, your career's over, why don't you come and do a course in education or training and assessment or something," it would have helped me a lot. Rather, I had to struggle for another 3 years. And I was able to find some very good people to guide me in 95, but it would have been great if they were there as a result of that fall back in 92. So as a result of that, when I was in Thoroughbreds, I established or was part of establishing Racing Mates, which is a welfare program, exactly the same as what we've replicated in harness racing, which is Mates for Harness. And those programs are there to support everybody, not just drivers.
Yeah. So your title is Education and Welfare Manager. So there are definitely two parts to it, two definitive pillars. Some key things that we've delivered on over the last couple of years while I've got to know you and the work that you do. Floods have obviously been a real scourge on the industry over the last couple of years. That's really been a key deliverable for you in helping out people right across the state, hasn't it?
It has, and it's always good when you've got the support of the board and the CEO and everybody in the office. So it can't be done one out. There's a whole team that put it together and support the participants, and it is one of the great examples of what we've been able to achieve.
So that revolved around relocating horses. It was the mindset of people going, I've just lost everything, and how do we recover from that? It was being really quick. And that's the thing. You've had to work quick, haven't you? And sort of there's no time for these long timelines around fixing up stables or getting a horse relocated. It has to happen fast.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So through the learnings of the Hawkesbury floods and obviously the ones in the Western region, is there some things that you're super proud of that you were managed to help people out with?
Yeah, I think just helping them, being there for them and being able to guide them through the Mates for Harness program. If they're having a tough time and they need somebody to talk to, we've got the racing chaplains, Colin Watts. We've got our sports psychologist that's there, Oliver Brett. So we've got those, and we've got to have ambassadors too. So they might want to go to a psychologist. That they might just want somebody to have a quick chat to. So we've got those in place as well.
Mates for Harness has been a really good initiative, hasn't it, guys?
Yeah, it's been a fantastic initiative. And I know Freddie often talks about his favourite photo out there on the track is David Morris and Steph Morris holding hands, and they're in the Mates for Harness colours. And it's just fantastic that you have someone that you're able to go and speak to for any participant that might be going through a hard time. It's confidential and they've got that person there.
They have, most definitely.
And I think it was the timing was crucial because we went through COVID.
Yeah.
We went through that time of isolation and anxiety and the unknown. And people were wondering, were they ever going to make a living again from the sport? Because we just didn't know. In 2020, in April of 2020, it was all doom and gloom and we had no real idea.
Yes.
So it was crucial that there were avenues for people to turn to. And that was, I think, one of the real successes through that period in our history that Mates for Harness was there.
I think having been a colleague of Maurice's for nearly 2.5 years, I point out a couple of things that I think the industry should really hear. Mm-hmm. This man is an absolute of the highest order integrity. So people are approaching someone who's amazing at his job, but will have the best interests of whoever's approaching Maurice in mind. He's a vault. You tell him something that's not getting out, he'll retain that in the strictest confidence, which people should expect, but it's a guarantee. I can give you that. He's just there to help, and he's the most kindest, mild manner, with a great sense of humour. So all those things make Maurice the perfect person to be the custodian of this Mates for Harness program.
And I'm a St George supporter, so
you were going so well.
You ticked all the boxes,
but Maurice, I guess, and again, I say you're Vault and you're not going to give up intimate details of this, but are you getting approached more than people realise?
Well, one of the things when we launched the Mates for Harness program, Fred's right, it was when the outbreak of COVID. We were working on the program well before COVID broke out, but it gave us the opportunity when something like that happened. We set the education component aside for momentarily, and we launched the welfare part of it. We do get approached, and so do our ambassadors, they get approached. But sometimes it's self-referral, so somebody will ring up, and more often than not, it'll be a mate of theirs that rings up and say, look, I saw Joey down the road the other day, he's not doing good, can you reach out to him? And we take that initiative and we reach out.
Yeah, what a wonderful resource that is.
Yeah. Excellent.
You'd hate to think that someone's, whether it's financially or just in mind space or the pressure that goes with having to maintain horses. I mean, we see it day in, day out, that the time, even just trying to get a guest on this show some weeks, it's sort of like, no, I just don't have, that's when I'm getting a horse ready. Well, how about Wednesday? Well, no, because that's when I've got this to do with the stallions or whatever. It's just non-stop. There's no time. And that must take its toll on people at times. It has to.
Absolutely. And I guess the other thing I'd be interested to know, with the amount of social media that's out there, and let's be honest, I know I certainly have been subject to some vitriolic attacks on platforms of social media for a variety of reasons. Others standing at the table may well have as well. Obviously, I've seen tweets, for example, about drivers.
Yes.
Does that affect them, and do they then have the avenues to turn to through Mates for Harness?
Most definitely, they've got the avenues to turn to, and we can support them through that.
Do you see that happening, Maurice? Like, has that been a thing where drivers have said, "Oh, look, Wally Wobblongs just absolutely baked me for a drive. I don't, I think I should give it away." Do people turn to you with those dilemmas?
Yeah, more often than not, it happens in our classroom. So we have classroom sessions once a quarter now. And the subject will come up and we'll talk about it and discuss what they should do. It seems easy, but you ignore it. It's not always easy to ignore.
We're human beings and we all have feelings. So, as I said, I've copped it. I wear it. When you sort of work in a public arena, you're sort of subject to it. But some of the attacks I've read about drivers, for example, you just go, what? How can people say this? What have they lost their $1.50 each way on, and they want to have a go at someone's integrity or their life? Sometimes they get personal, and that's I guess where it makes it hard for, especially the young ones.
Yes.
Well, they go hunting too. They go actively look someone up on their personal platforms. To send them a message. The process. Incredible.
Be kind to your drivers.
Be kind to your drivers.
So, Maurice, that's a reflection on the welfare piece from an education perspective. I know recently, you were getting around the state with, Annie and Martin Westcott and our veterinarian team and our integrity team, and had young up and comers through the industry and showing them things like basic equine welfare, and hoof conditioning and stuff like that. you know, that all sits with you too, doesn't it?
It does. We look at our education piece, and we look at providing information to our participants to look after the animal welfare, the participant welfare, and to better educate them, particularly around the rules of racing, how to conduct themselves in a steward's inquiry, those sorts of things. Our next session here at Menangle is actually in August, and we'll be doing mock inquiries. So we'll have a steward come along, and they'll get to present or represent themselves in an inquiry, so that when the day comes and they find themselves in the steward's room, they know a little bit about how the process works, or a lot about.
What a great idea!
That is so important,
absolutely.
Because I've often, you know, like they're great blokes. The steward, you know, they're colleagues, they're great blokes. But however, they've got a job to do, and when they're going to pour, you know, question marks and a spotlight and a magnifying glass on your performance on track, that must be daunting for the newbies. And occasionally we've had cameras in the room or a bit of an eyeball on the room, and I've looked at it and thought, gee, some of our 20-year-olds in that carry themselves so well, or if only they could speak up a bit, or, you know, just the little 1%ers, which I think you can fine tune them. Yeah,
we definitely in that environment where there's no pressure. It's a lot easier to manage that, but when you get into the steward's room, there's a lot of pressure. So they get used to it to a degree, and then they've got an understanding of what the process is, and that's important. The process is important.
They should also know that they're not alone, because if need be, the juniors especially can call upon an advocate.
That's correct.
So but this is a good grounding for them to at least see what goes on inside the room and how it's approached. I think that's a terrific. So that's August, yeah.
That's correct. Another part of our training program now is that they have a logbook. So they're required to attend the races on 3 separate occasions and go into various areas of the industry. So they'll be in the steward's room. They'll see how that works long before they even score up in their first race. So they'll have an understanding of that. And they may even go up into the judges' box and see that side of the industry, just to give them a really grounded view of what the harness industry is about and the rules of racing.
That's brilliant. You know, that upskilling and that also there's that nod to history as well, and knowing who came before you and what the progression of our sport looks like, and that I think that's really important. Finally, mate, we talked a lot in the early parts of the show around cognitive testing and the requirements that the industry's made sure that we've put those parameters in place to look after the welfare of people on track. You had to get around the state and sit individually one-on-one with pretty much everyone renewing their licence. That's a big job.
It was over 500 participants that we had to test. Moving forward, the way that it'll work for the next licensing season is that they'll be sent a link and they're able to do it in the comfort of their own home. The only other time that we'll get them in person will be following a concussion or a head knock, and it's working quite well at the moment. We picked up a driver who had a serious head injury, or when I say injury, concussion, and she was 3 months before her cognitive function had returned to normal.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what would have happened previously? She'd have gone to the doctor, may have been cleared.
Yep.
She'd gone out. If she'd have had another head knock before her brain had recovered, she's greatly at risk of a permanent brain injury or death, and we don't want that.
I'll tell you the other thing Maurice has been at the forefront of is the maternity program and the packaging and the opportunities that New South Wales has been ahead of the game more than any other state around what's provided to women who, want to still participate in our industry, but go on ahead and have families and that. And I think that has been a great progressive step for our industry too. I mean, that must be one you're super proud of.
I'm super proud of that when we compare it to what's out there in other states. Definitely our package is very fair. There's no limitations on it. If you're licensed in New South Wales, you're a New South Wales female driver, you're eligible. Whether you have 1 drive a year or 1,000 drives a year, you're eligible.
Awesome. Yeah,
Fantastic.
And that shows that you don't have to give up the opportunity to have a family in order to prioritise you can do both and still be hugely successful. So, mate, you're doing great things. Really proud to call you a colleague, but I think the industry should be super proud of the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, fascinating, wasn't it? I think there's a lot of stuff that Maurice is doing and Harness Racing New South Wales is doing that people just kind of either A, take for granted or B, don't know enough about, Jess.
Yeah, that's right. I know another one that we didn't touch on there, but I saw Maurice in action out here at the Macarthur Careers Expo, and I know that's just one of the expos that he's travelled to across the state of New South Wales, and it really provides him with that opportunity to talk to possible people that can work in the industry in the future, whether they be track curators, racing administrators. The possibilities are endless, aren't they? They
are, you're right. We're there tomorrow. The careers market's here again tomorrow, so we'll be back out here looking for the next generation to come through, the next track maintenance person, driver, you name it. We have a look around New South Wales and we see an ageing workforce, particularly in that track maintenance area.
What'd you look at me for?
Sorry, I wasn't talking about... You're not track maintenance.
Oh, no, thank goodness, yeah. That's too much hard work.
So we need to be creating, we need to be recruiting and creating pathways for them to enter the industry. And that's what we're about.
Yeah, I concur what you say there, Paul. I think a lot of what Maurice does flies under the radar because he's so, unassuming. He goes about, he knows what tasks need to be done and what's for the best interest of the industry. He gets them done and you go, the maternity mates for it's just that he just gets about and does his business.
I think we've only just
hats off to him.
Well, we've only just scratched the surface on the stuff that Maurice is doing and what that your office and all those folders that you got stacked up there. There's some great stuff happening. I'll tell you what, on the careers market, can't say too much, but that's going next level. Watch this space. Some good stuff coming there.
Cool. Excellent.
Hey, 8 races this afternoon, Freddie.
Yeah, 8 races, a couple of good trotters races, a few interesting trotters. I'm looking forward to seeing Abisia go around. It's in the first former Kiwi trotter, but good card. I mean, we get Cash and Flow. We see Cash and Flow. Now, if he wins today, he equals Tough Monarch as the most winningest horse here at Menangle. Yeah, so, and then you got Don Boston, a last start Bathurst winner. He's racing next Saturday. If he wins, he joins that pair if Cash and Flow wins. At the moment, Tough Monarch with 27 wins is the most winningest horse here, but Cash and Flow could join him today.
Yeah, fantastic. That's something to look out for. You'll be ready to capture that moment on your award-winning social media platform, Jess.
Definitely.
Woggers tonight. We've got Bathurst on Wednesday, Penrith Thursday, Wagga Dubbo and Newcastle on Friday. Bankstown's on Monday, Jess. I know you love that one, Carnival of Cups.
Yeah, the time-honoured MH Trill Memorial, $50,000, and also the $14,000 Trotters Cup, and plenty of activities on for the family.
Can I get my face painted?
Of course you can. Sweet. Heaven on high, straight across the forest.
Might even walk away with a balloon if you're
lucky me.
Canberra's on Monday, and of course Menangle's on Saturday night. So back to Metro Racing. Should be a good night out here, Jess.
Yeah, will be a great night. I think last Saturday night, I know we spoke about it earlier in the show, but there was such a buzz around these stables. Of course, there was the Waratah Series final and those 2 New South Wales bred finals as well. We saw a lot of regional participants in the barn, and there was just a lot of people here. It was fantastic.
And the Trotters really come into play this Saturday night. We start to steer towards July 1, Trots New South Wales, big Group 1 night.
Yeah, it's always a fantastic night. Great to see the Square Gators get their opportunity to strut their stuff out here on the big stage.
Absolutely. All right, Black Bookers, how are we going, Jess?
I don't think my one from last week has raced yet, so I'm technically counting that as we can say that it's a win. But no, my Black Booker run 4th to Delightful Angel on Saturday night. Total Diva for Miras Hansen and Jim Douglas. She ran her last half in 54, and I thought she hit the line strongly, and so I'll be interested to see where she lines up next.
Fantastic.
I'm going Funky Monkey. I just think the last few runs, they had a lot of issues with her. She was injured. They've taken their time with her. They've brought her back, and she's slowly but surely, she's trotting at the moment faultlessly. And she's just getting better with each run. I think she's capable over the mile on Saturday night of running a big race. Funky Monkey.
Let's hope that faultless trotting continues, because we've seen Funky Monkey play up a couple of times, particularly in the
I think injury played its part there too, Paul.
And I spent a bit of time with the ownership group in the lead up to the Dominion, I love the passion and how they got around. It all turned up in the colours and everything.
Colours and the masks, the monkey masks was pretty cool.
It was heartbreaking to see Funky Monkey kind of just go a little bit off stride there through that Inter Dominion campaign. So, good luck. Hey, a little bit of housekeeping. So the strategic plan is out there for people to provide input into the Harness Racing New South Wales strategic plan. Details are on our website now. People have been sent emails and correspondence inviting people for input. So as Maurice and I know, sitting in headquarters, the boss is very keen for input into that, and it's super important, isn't it?
It is very important.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy for people to sit back and down the track have some criticism or whatever. Well, now's your opportunity to have some input into it. So take advantage of that because the invitation is certainly there and it's encouraged. So details of that are on the Harness Racing New South Wales website. Guys, a really sort of heartbreaking story. We got approached on, and Maurice got the direct approach, was around a young girl from the Leeton Mini Trotting Club, Lila Truan. So she got taken to Sydney Children's Hospital. A GoFundMe page has been set up asking for people to help out. So she's 8 years old. She had a headache and then suddenly collapsed. It's just a horrible story. We wish the family all the best. And she got airlifted to Sydney Children's Hospital. She's currently being treated. She had the scans, the blood tests, as we know, like that's money.
Yep.
That's big money that the family's up for, and we wish her the best. We really hope this all goes well. But there is a GoFundMe page set up. So we've put those links up on the social media platforms for Harness Racing New South Wales. I know that the industry has already been very generous and got around that, but let's keep it going because, geez, we hate seeing this. One of our own, particularly a young girl, so young, like Maurice has got the paperwork in front of him. She's a beautiful young girl, and just heartbreaking. Heartbreaking that a family would have to go through that.
I spoke to her mother yesterday, Amanda. She's already had 3 operations, and they expect she'll go back in for a 4th today if they can't relieve the pressure around her brain. So things are looking better, more positive, but there's a bit of a journey for her.
Yeah. So have a look out. That GoFundMe page exists. As I said, that link is on the social media platforms for Harness Racing New South Wales. I know it's been shared around a few times, so we'll give that another push as well through our platforms. If you can, find even the equivalent of a cup of coffee, over the next couple of days, just to help the family out, because that's big money, and we hate to see one of our own doing it tough. So wish you all the best, Lila and family. Guys, yeah, good show. Fascinating to talk to Maurice. Great to have Mr. Primmer on the line and be able to tap into that conference there in Hawaii and hear about the great performance and no dramas on the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I think she might have provided him with some spending money before he headed off to Hawaii.
Good win.
Very nice win.
Yeah, no, Troy seemed very happy over there, and would have been a fun flight for him, I reckon, coming off the biggest win of his career, and he jumped straight in a plane. And
I think he'd have to have watched the replay a few times, surely.
might have funneled it through the corner seat in-house on the back of the seat or something like that, you think? Maybe that's the future of harness racing. Get it on the in-flight entertainment.
Yeah.
Maurice, thanks for your time.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for getting out there and telling us a bit about what you're doing. And that please, if you're anything in that education welfare space, don't be shy. Maurice is always his numbers all over the internet for the right reasons, and he's easy to find. Make sure you take advantage of that. Freddie, good calling this afternoon.
Yeah, looking forward to the meeting today. And Penrith have got a big meeting. They've got one of those Breeders' Bonanzas on for the ladyship this week, 1,500 in bonuses. So they're doing good things in conjunction with Penrith. So that's on again this Thursday. Good luck to those in that race. And as Jess said, big meeting here on Saturday.
Fantasy harness racing's down to 4 weeks to go as well.
I sort of went from about 62nd to 71st or something, so I had a bit of a poor week.
It's going to be a tough week, I think. For you got Jack Callaghan's out, Jack Trainer's out, Jackson Painting's out, Taylor Osmond's out. These are really popular. Astalosa.
Yeah. There's another one. Yeah.
These are really popular selections in teams. This is going to be a shake-up round, I think, Jess.
Well, I'm sitting 731, so I don't think I'll be shaking up too much.
Well, like our we've seen people that low down have great weeks though and come in and.
But you could still win the. The thing is, even if you're that far down, you can still win the week, can't you? And there's a prize there for winning the week. So if you're still playing and you're not in the top, 10 or the top 20, keep trying, keep putting your teams in, and you never know. You just might have a lucky week.
So
week.
Will Norman's leading it. He's 74 points in front. So if you work that out, that's 7.5 winners.
Yep.
Basically. So 7 winners and come second. Someone needs to do that over the next 4 rounds on top of what Will's doing to catch him.
Is it the week where you play wide and you start to look for those fringe
I'll
drivers
and
and snag a couple of wins?
We talked about it in the fantasy podcast yesterday. Where the big play's been has been Josh Gallagher. So Robbie, Robbie's hasn't been driving. Cam has had good weeks, but not the same weeks that Josh did. And Josh won the round last week, the week before, in round 20. He got 129 points. Second was 60. I mean, that's a big gap. Big gap. If you had him as your captain, that's where you make up the ground.
Yeah.
So that's 74 points, not out of the question if you can get that captain right. So probably 4 managers, coaches, players, whatever we want to call them, are probably the 4 that have got the car in their sights. It's going to be difficult outside of that top 4. But, with Eureka hospitality packages up for grabs as well, for finishing top 10, and our mate Charles Olivier are going to be here to press the flesh on the night as well. So there's a bit to play for.
Keep playing, keep chasing.
Yeah. Hey, the Eureka's, we're about to go into a meeting to talk a little bit more about that, Jess, but it's going places. There's some good stuff. Slot holders continue to announce their horses, so keep an eye on that because the hype continues to build and we're not that far. We're less than 100 days away now, so the Eureka's going places.
That's right, and hospitality packages are also on sale via the Clubman Angle website, so visit clubmanangle.com.au for more information.
Absolutely. Have a great week, Jess, Freddie.
Thank you.
You too.
Maurice, thanks for coming out and joining us. To everyone tuning in, thanks for your time on the Sprint Lane podcast this morning. If you're watching on the live stream, great to have your company. If you're listening to us, planes, trains, automobiles, wherever you are, thank you for your time. If you give us a like, follow, share, kind review, that would be appreciated. We love bringing you this show, and we can't wait to do it again next week. Until then, bye-bye.